Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Musings and Music Show. We are glad that you're out there listening or watching, as the case may be. And as usual, we promise you a wonderful show ahead. This is EGBE MBIWAN MONJIMBO coming to you on Vosaworld Radio. And I have a guest with me who is going to tell us her name, introduce herself, and tell us where she's coming to us from today. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here. My name is SOLANGE NGO BAMA. I'm a medical doctor tuning in from Mountain View, California, this wonderful afternoon.
Great. And is that where you're based then, in California? Is that where you're based?
No, it wouldn't be, right? I'm a rural doctor because I work in rural Cameroon, in MUEA, CME MUEA, which is the primary care facility in the southwest region of Cameroon. I have been here for 4 weeks. In a program sponsored by the US government, the US Department of State in its Department of Cultural Affairs. So the program is called Tech Women. It brings together women of over 21 countries who, by their work, wherever sector they are in, lawyers, doctors like myself, engineers, and everybody, even journalists, who use tech at some point to make a change, come to Silicon Valley for 4 weeks, where we engage at 3 different levels. The first thing is you are doing work in your career. Probably you want to learn new skills, so they link you up with a professional mentor who hosts you in a company where you can, have hands-on experience based on what your needs are. The second level is the impact project. So for the 21 countries that come here, they have the duty to think about their country as a whole and choose an issue that they want to solve in that country and pitch it. So we have coaches, impact coaches that are assigned to us per country that help us through the project. I'll talk about Cameroon's speech for this year a little bit. And then last not the least, our cultural mentors, because at the end of the day, they want us to have, a cultural experience, be it food, be it just the way of life and everything, just get to see around. So those are the components of our program, or the program that we've had thus far. So in the last week, which is starting Sunday, we are going to DC, where now we'll meet with, the policy makers and every other thing and accumulate our experience.
That is amazing. I don't think I was ever aware of such a program my entire time in Cameroon there, or even been here, even heard about it. Is it new? Is it a new program, or it has always been there?
No, so the Secretary of State at the time, Hillary Clinton, introduced this in 2012. And it started with countries in the Middle East. And it was about, how she could, as a woman who had gone to the, the top, administrative-wise, policy-wise, power-wise, how she, in her agenda, could give back to women. So it's been 20. You imagine with me that it's been a long. It's like 10 years. We are like 10 years down the line, and I think Cameroon has been was added to this list. I think 2014, 2013, 2014 or so. Yes, and many Cameroonian young women and women have benefited from it in a ripple effect, either directly or indirectly from the initiatives that are birthed from the experience.
Correct, because as you said, you come here to learn. It's not a holiday. You come here, you learn, you get a whole wealth of experience and go and make things better when you get back home. And that is kind of how I got to know about you in this particular light, because I saw an article that the American Embassy was the one that posted that. It's not as if it was you bragging. The American Embassy was talking about the crop of young people that they had sent, and young people, and even amongst those young people, you were about the youngest, because I started looking at the ages listed there. You're one of the youngest. Do you mind sharing how old you are? Do you?
Wow, okay. That's been a very long story, and I want to here, first of all, acknowledge the support of our network. I'm a secretary and proud one at that. My sisters over the past 4 years have encouraged me greatly from, I'll call their names. I cannot not call their names, you know, for Basabi, Hello Sis, Grateful, Ionita, Grateful, Dinamona Naomi, Veronica Mbakwa, and you know, all those girls. And they have, for some of them who have been in the program before, they said, hey, you're doing amazing work. And I was like, no, I'm a medical doctor. You girls somehow, you know, have engineering backgrounds and all of that. And I don't recognize myself in this program. They said, no, you know, that's the reason why you should apply, because then the work that you're doing will be amplified if you bring the tech part of it. So after convincing me for 4 years, last year, December, when the application was launched, I finally applied. But, you know, with the pressure of work and everything, they held my hand through and, you know, they kept encouraging me. And on my first try, surprisingly enough, I was among the women selected. It's important to say that it's very competitive. So we had this year about 7,300 applications. So to be one of the 104 finalists who are finally here and who have had the experience is nothing short of amazing.
It is.
And particularly my experience.
Congratulations. That is a huge achievement. So like you said, okay, since you brought up the second part, I was going to keep quiet about it for a bit.
I'm sorry, I can't. Me, I can't. I am a parent and I am proud. Any day, anytime. Yes.
I know.
Yes.
I know that. I know that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and ask you a personal question. You said your name. That is clearly a name from the French-speaking part of our country. So you're going to go ahead and explain to us how did you, I know the answer to my own question.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Like I said, community again. Community chose me, like Seka chose me. And I think that's the answer. So I'm this little girl who has just finished in 2004, or who is rounding up her class 7 in Yaoundé, from Government Bilingual Primary School, Group 2. And I have this elder sister who is the daughter to my mom's colleague, Auntie Meg Pate Margaret. I greet you, grandson. Thank you so much. So we are going through the process. Oh, so what happens to this child after she finishes primary school? We are going through schools and they're like, oh, but you know, she's bright. She could come to Seka. And my parents are like, oh, we don't really know this place. She's never been away from home, and to take her out of, you know, it's not even closed. It's not as if you can get up today and be there tomorrow. It's going to be a challenge. And, you know, even amidst that apprehension, this elder sister who was ahead, you know, did all the arrangement, helped me prepare for the interview. And that's how I find myself in Seka, 8th of September, 2004. Yes. So that's my journey in a SIPNet, right?
Right. Because you think I'm smiling because, of course, that is the school I went to as well. In fact, my mother was the headmistress of that school way back then. Yep. So that I'm a proud graduate of what we call the school by the lake back in the day. There by the old presidents, and there by the press, National Printing Press. Yes. I left that school in June of 1976.
Wow. Okay.
And went to Seka in September of 1976. So we have a lot in common there. And I kind of knew your story. There's quite a few people who wear your shoes, who walk the same path from Douala or from Yaoundé. Because somebody's going to hear you who's from Cameroon would hear you speak and say, but that was a Francophone, but look at how well she speaks English and everything. It started from the Government Bilingual Primary School there in Yaoundé, and then through Seka. And from Seka to where? Just keep
back to Yaoundé for medical school. So somehow this girl had left home for 7 years. And I realized that, you know, with coming back home after high school, I discovered that if I left at that time, I may never have the opportunity to come back. Like, there are a lot of things that I had missed out on that I wanted to catch up. So I decided, when other people were going to other schools, I was like, no, I'm going to go to school in Yaoundé, you know, do what I have to do. And then when I leave Yaoundé, finally, I'm not coming back. And that's what has happened, because then I have gone back to the Southwest. That is where I work.
Right,
you know.
Right, that's interesting. Because you see, this past week was the Tuesday was International Day of the Girl Child. And I said to myself, here is a perfect example of a girl child that has gone through what you have gone through and excelled at what you do. So it's something to actually see. For me, you are a success story that people should be looking up to, that other younger girls who will be watching or listening, because as I know they will. as I know their mothers and aunties and grandmas will have them watch and listen to see that as you're going through elementary school and everything, yep, there is promise, because there is a time, you may not know it, may not realize it. Even in my time, I may not have seen that much of it, where a story like yours was not likely to happen, because no father, no parent would send their girl child to school through the levels that you have gone through. Like before SECA existed, or before Okoyom, which is older than SECA, existed, girls just, you may get some training, quote unquote training. So you learn how to read and write quite all right, but you do domestic science. You learn how to cook, learn how to sew. So you're literate. You don't embarrass this husband of yours anywhere where you're going, but because you cannot speak English, I cannot conjugate a sentence, a verb. But you really are trained to just be decent, and you are going to be a stay-at-home mom. So we need to be realize how blessed we are to have come up at a time when things have changed. But as you and I know, they haven't changed as much as they need to change. So we'll go back to your story, because you said you went to after SECA, you went back to Yaoundé, and that is, we need to remind people, you're talking about SECA, the 7-year cycle, not the 5. Because
yes, no, the 7-year cycles, the 7-year cycle. Graduated in 2009, graduated 2011. So it's a 7-year cycle.
SECA into where exactly in Yaoundé did you go to school?
Okay, what people, or what the older generation refers to as CUS, but actually we call it the Faculty of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, where I had my degree in general medicine, which is a bachelor's of medicine. So for the 7 years, so that's we are talking about October 2011 to September 2018. Yes.
All right. So you come on out graduation day, and then you get posted to where?
Well, the posting story is a very interesting story. So when you leave school, you are supposed to choose 3 regions of Cameroon where you want to work. And this girl has always had, when I was leaving school, I somehow, knew what I wanted to do. It was not going to be, regular clinical practice that is very long. It was more like, okay, I've been trained to do this thing. Let me start with the hospital, but eventually transition, because in the hospital, I see only the people who come to me, and that's less than 30% of the people who are sick. But if I transition from the hospital into the community, then I can, have a greater impact.
Correct.
But unfortunately, this is one of the things that is still frowned upon in Cameroon, or, in the way we are taught medicine, because they say, oh, the good doctor is the one who has, a lot of patients in front of his or her door, So when I shied away from that, that was a stereotype. I was called lazy. They said, oh, you're a lazy girl. You don't want to work. You want just a lot of money. And it took me a couple of years, to just settle that in my mind and tell myself, you are different. You must not be everybody else, right? And I think that is the path that has led me here to say, hey, nobody may understand me. It doesn't really matter. But, paving a path means that people like me who are misunderstood have a story to connect to. So that's how in my posting, when I chose the 3 regions, so my 3 choices are very interesting. I chose the Southwest region because I was like, okay, I've gone to school here. I know the people. So this was amidst the crisis. So I go to the Southwest region in 2019 in the heart of the crisis. There was that choice. There was the Adamawa region, and anyway, the East regions.
Right.
Also, I was freshly out of school. If you know Cameroon and Cameroon system, you need to survive as a young doctor out of school. You don't always have the means to, live a luxurious life in quotes. So I was like, if I'm going to a place where I have to do everything to survive, I cannot live in an expensive town, but I still want to be able to live and to do the work that I do beautifully. Yes. So it was a bit of all of that led me to the choices that I made. So I find myself in the Southwest region. In the heat of the crisis, where my parents are scared. I remember my grandma saying, so with all the people that exist, it's my own child that they have decided to send to where people are dying. And I remember telling her at the time that it's not as serious as it seems. Not because I'm discounting the fact that you are afraid, but that, you know, there is a reason for everything. And remember, it's a choice that I had made, despite everything. And every time I will come home, she'll cry, you know, it will be very difficult for you to go back. But those 4 years have given me so much, you know, so much experience, both in the hospital, out of the hospital. I have been blessed with the fact that my bosses have been very understanding, but also very deliberate to allow me to grow, as in give you responsibility, help you when you are stuck. Very few people have that, but I was blessed with that. So shout out to my support system. Like I say, I'm a child that's, you know, that belongs to the community. I don't think I belong to my parents, but it's really the support system around me that has shaped me into the person that you think that you're seeing today. Yes.
And that is a good thing, that your focus is different, that your goals and aims and your vision are different. Because most people, and even the families, when they send them to go be a doctor, is to be a big madam. That's what you're going to be. You're going to make a lot of money. Really just go there. In fact, and if you're going to get married, you just be, you go and you do a few things, come on back and just carry the status much more than you actually do the work. I'm really talking about serving the community and even going to where there is danger. That is technically what we expect of doctors. You look at the doctors who are in Médecins Sans Frontières, for example, who go to areas that are underprivileged, exactly where they are really needed. Because if you sit in the comfort of a big, nice city, of course, no offense to big, nice cities, people get sick there too and they need the help. No offense. But to go where you're really needed, is something that talks more about your calling. So do you feel, it's almost, I can kind of guess from what you've just said, but do you feel that your path in the medical field is more of a calling than a job where you get, everybody needs a paycheck?
So like I say, and I'll always repeat, before this job chose, I think it really chose me more than I chose it, and in every sense of it. So for me, it's much more than just, you know, getting up to say that I'm going to work, to maybe write a prescription for someone. I like to think that I'm a tripartite doctor. That means that some days I will attend to someone's physical needs so that they are sick, but I've also had people come to me because they just wanted to talk. They really just needed a place where they could talk in a vulnerable way, in a way that they felt that they were not judged, and, you know, just appease themselves. And because of this position, had to, at some point in my consultation room, tell some young girls, I say, hey, would you mind? I'm going to remove my lab coat and my doctor casket, and I'm going to talk to you like a big sister. So it's given me an avenue above duty.
Correct.
It's gone beyond the call of duty to intentionality, to saying, hey, this is what I've received, so I'm giving back, to the point where some people will come into my office and say, hey, we don't really believe that you're a doctor. And I asked, why? They're like, you're young, one, okay, that I can understand. But then they say, you're playful. We are used to doctors being very stern, very difficult, deep voices, you know, in a way that we cannot relate to them. So being relatable, and the relatability has saved me, because many mothers have come into my office in the days where it was difficult to work, and they say, hey, doctor, please don't come here tomorrow. It's going to be a very bad day. Please stay indoors. When things settle, we will call you.
Right. It's not, I think about that grandma of yours. I was worried. I'm listening to it and I'm worried right now. Even though I know you're sitting here in front of me, I'm going, my goodness, that is a little scary. So let's go now to the you're out here for this reason, and you said there was a specific theme that you're really out here for, the pitch that you were going to come on out here, and what got you selected, and what is that? Because now your plan is to go and give back. So let's hear what that was and what your plans are for the future.
Okay, so I'll start with the plan for Cameroon, because I am a daughter of the soil. then I'll tell you about my plans, because in as much as there's a pitch that is a common thing that 5 of us did, 5 of us who came from Cameroon have done, there is now what my personal goals were, or what my personal learning objectives were. So again, I will tell you the story of the doctor, but also the girl. Like I said, for the past 4 years that I've worked in the Southwest region, I came in the heart of the crisis, and my most difficult experience as of date is this young girl, I think 14, 15 years old, was brought to me on a hot afternoon with a lot of noise. You're consulting, and then you just hear a lot of noise, people. So I came out, and that girl had been mutilated. So when I say mutilated, let me explain. This is my hand. Every single joint on her fingers, her elbow joints, her legs, everything had been cut. So literally she was in pieces. And in the midst of all that chaos, I could barely hear her because she was barely breathing. So I put my ear over her mouth, and then I tried to find out. So we did what we could do with her, but that girl didn't survive. That's the doctor, and that's probably what those first few months were like for me. I had that one that was dead. I've had girls that have been raped. I've had unwanted pregnancies, even children as young as 12. I've had people who have been burnt in their houses. And then the girl now that wants to go home to her own family who is in Yaoundé, and then still meet another facet of this thing that she lives as a doctor. So now these girls have reached Yaoundé. What should they do? They have run. They left the place. There's no house. Probably their father who was the breadwinner is dead, or their mother now could not stand the shock. She also died. So now they find themselves in Yaoundé or Bafoussam or Douala or whatever other town that is around these areas, and they have to survive. What do you think that they do?
Prostitution.
Thank you.
Yep.
So our pitch is saying, hey, and prostitution in Cameroon is illegal. Right. But not only the fact that it's illegal, these girls are exposing themselves to pregnancies. A child cannot take care of another child. It's another big circle. HIV and everything else. So our pitch as Team Cameroon was to say, for these girls, we have to start somewhere. We have benefited from this opportunity, right? People have welcomed us, not judged us for the things that we said that we wanted to learn, our fears, our worries. We want to replicate that where we're coming from. And how will we do that? One of us, Alima, who is here, is an ICT teacher. She works in Gaoundere. She has a project with kids that is like a summer camp, Adamawa Code Kids. So we were like, this girl already has a curriculum that she works with. Can we not adapt it? Each of us can teach computer skills, but these computer skills, like, in a place like a little classroom that we have rented and that people have accepted to donate for, we bring these girls into this environment. But that's not the plan. The plan is to get them somewhere, create a trusted, non-judgmental relationship to allow them to open up to us.
Correct.
So when we do that, in a cycle of 3 months, we can evaluate and say, okay, this one like this doesn't have a place to stay. At least this is what I can do for her. This one probably with these skills, we have partners. After we have trained, we can send her to a secretariat. At least she will make money. This one wants to go back to school. We had 3 months or 9 months away from schools that start in September. What is it that we can do for her? We said we'll start with 20 girls, and then eventually we will expand. Does it make sense? Maybe. Does it not? Maybe. But when someone has limited, we can blame someone for the things that they are doing, but you don't know the limited options that they had when they were making a choice. And because you don't know, exactly, oh God, what they have suffered, it's very dangerous to just be pointing the finger. So the aim is simple: bring these girls close, offer them a skill, offer them a trusted mentoring relationship, and then try with them to break the cycle. And maybe, just maybe, one life like mine could be changed. Just maybe, just one. And that will make all the difference.
Right. because that one person that you do that for will now, that impact will now spread to that person and their immediate entourage. So each one that you help ends up helping more people, and it's one person less than would have been out there struggling and being in this pit. But that's the thing, we hear the stories, and for some of us who are a little bit distanced from what is really going on there in the heat of things, we're like, well, that's sad, oh, that kind of a thing. And then you hear the actual story of what people will go through, and you're moved. So is there a way that people who are listening to this, to us talk here now, they've heard about the 20 girls, they've heard about the plans for down the road, because you, as you've said, you've touched on the fact that the impact is physical. You can actually have somebody with cuts and things, or they be exposed to disease, actually be sick. But there's also the psychological part of it, where the person needs to be helped to believe again, to trust again, to be optimistic and hopeful again, because if there's no hope, there's no point. So what are those of us who are listening to you now, who know about this program? What can we do to help?
So we are open to all the help. It means that you know someone who can, just assist us with the girls psychologically. We take.
We're talking
If
psychiatrists,
yes, a
psychologists,
psychiatrist,
mental health.
mental health, because, we are giving our time. That's what we are going to be doing, because we will have these girls in weekly sessions, 4 hours. So every Saturday we'll take them 8 to about midday. If you could help us with refreshing them, if you could help us with internet connection, so because that's what we are doing. If you could help us purchase the computers, if you could help us and say, okay, I will be here, I will come too to support you. If financially you want to help us. So the project, we've titled it Hope for Her. Until now, like we pitched it just 2 days ago, but we are planning to do a GoFundMe, maybe account with that project name that we will communicate eventually and say, hey, if financially you want to reach out to us, this is how you can do it. And I think I'll share the link with you. Definitely. So that at the end of the day, I as a doctor, I don't have the political power to change everything or to break the cycle. But for the few that I have seen, I've been close to this. In fact, I have lived in this.
You've lived it, you've been in the thick of it.
I think that, just doing this one thing, and, the aim is if we can get 20 now, and then, we have funds and we can increase and graduate this 20, and after we take 40, if we have done that for a very long time, at least the girls can have something to eat. They can now on their own say that, okay, this is what I've learned. I want to go back to school, or I want to do a specific training like this, and we help them. Or you are an employer, at some point, and you think that in a way you can employ these girls. Those are the things we are open to having. Or you're just, an entrepreneur, or, you have insight on how something like that has worked elsewhere, and you want to give us, like, we are taking everything, as much help as we can get, because at the end of the day, remember, hope for just one person can change a whole community. I think that's the take-home message. Yes.
Right. And I couldn't agree with you more, because this little program I'm doing here, I'm not a trained journalist. I'm doing it for that reason, because because sometimes people don't fail to do things because they are looking at doing a huge impact day one. That's the same thing with the pastor. He wants a big church from day one. It is place to be, no, start with one soul, save and win one soul. Start there. That is still important. So I would applaud you, because I see the age range, the 5 of you who are doing this. You call the program, you said Hope for Her.
Hope for Her. Yes.
It's kind of like more geared towards the girl, the girls. Not that the boys are not traumatized as well, but we're talking about the girls, because we know that generally the debrouillé and kind of a thing, the trauma that the boy would face. No, we know that yes, boys get raped too and sodomized and stuff, but we know also that the girls are more the victims of that kind of a thing, who would be desperate enough to start doing those kinds of things that we tend to judge, whereas it's because they don't have a choice. They were going to school. If everything were normal, they'd have gone to school like you and I, coming out and been something decent, but something happened that has caused them to be in this situation. So what we're called to do is help. So as you've promised, as you've said, I'd be looking for that GoFundMe link to do with the crowdfunding thing, because there are people out there who do want to help. And for some, it's a matter of just letting them know which one is legit. You see, because there's a lot of scamming going on out there. And that's why you tell somebody, yes, go for me. They're like, I don't even want to hear it because they've been scammed before. So now it was a good thing to have you here. Come talk about it. Come talk about the program that you're in, and then talk about how we can help. So if you have the word of advice to give a young girl, say there's a young girl now in elementary school too there, which is where you came from. Imagine if somebody had had the chance to talk to you back then, what would you have wanted to hear to encourage you? What would you want to say to them now to encourage them in the way forward?
The simple thing is that you're different, and your difference is what makes you.
Right.
And don't give up. It's very important. It doesn't really matter where you are at, where you're from. My parents didn't graduate high school. They didn't. So I am the first university graduate of my nuclear family. But I think that, you have everything that it takes. You have everything that it takes. You just need to want to work for it, but give yourself the opportunity to just be you, like embrace who you are as a person. Don't be like the people, or don't hear the voices that say, hey, you are lazy, or, this thing wouldn't work, or they have had their paths, they have lived their lives, but your own life is in your hands. Don't allow anybody to tell you otherwise.
Sound advice, because we are all unique. And the thing is, we do have that tendency, like you say, somebody starts doing something and we say, that's how it's done. That has become the norm. That's how it's done. So if you dare step outside that box, people are like, you're queer, you're like strange, you're different. And generally we tend to think about what is different as bad. We equate different to bad. Everybody's doing this. And then even your family buys into it. Everybody's child is going to be a sister, and so you want to go and be this and that. So I hear where you're coming from, and not to pay attention to those voices, the naysayers, they will tell you that you can't, but believe in your own convictions. Believe in yourself, your own convictions, and stick with them and work for them and fight for them. And then you end up like her right here sitting in front of you, if you're watching, or if you're listening, like her that you're listening to. Look at where she is. Out of 7,000 candidates that applied for a program, you get chosen. And you said it was like, what, 100 in the end?
104. Yeah, 104.
That is there. Everybody has their unique destiny. If she had given up way back, then this would not even have been possible. Listen to the voices, the naysayers, and not done what she has done. So when you do, what are your plans when you go back to Cameroon, besides this specific one, hope for her? Where do you see yourself in, say, 10 years? Where do you see yourself?
Wow. Okay. So if you go on Twitter, right? My name on Twitter is the Breastfeeding Doctor.
Okay.
Because 6 years ago, while I was doing my last community rotation, again in the northwest region of Cameroon, Batibo District Hospital, like I say, these regions have chosen me for some reason. So I get into a maternity ward in the morning, and then this first-time mother is crying. I mean, she's in all her states. And I asked her at the time, what's happening? She says, doctor, I want to breastfeed, but I really don't know how to. Nobody told me that this was going to be like this. So I help her, I help position her baby, and tell her that, hey, this is what you can do, and this is how you can do it. And I do it that first day, I come on the next day, I continue. So it became a routine. So with time, it was, just one person, but it became, oh no, she usually gives this kind of advice. So a friend will tell a friend, who will tell a sister, who will. So it's something that has grown.
By word of mouth.
Yes. But unfortunately, like people will say that, oh, what new thing are you want to tell us about breastfeeding or breast milk? Our mothers have breastfed. You these modern women, what do you want to show us? But I assure you, women are going through a lot. Like there's all this glamour about pregnancy, but nobody really prepares them to what comes after. What are those things that you should do? But also, our middle class is growing. More women like me are going into the workforce, but they still want to be moms. They want to be able to give their children the best. So at the end of this program, while I was here, I was actually hosted at 2 companies. One is Salesforce, that does everything, the cloud computing and the app development that you use, Slack, Zoom, and all those things that you see. But also I was hosted at Healthy Horizon, which is a breastfeeding support company. It does breastfeeding support to both families and to organizations. So you have your company where you have a woman who is breastfeeding. Probably you want a room where she can go express milk, keep it, and take it home to her infant after. Or, families, individual family needs. Why am I also passionate about this? I've had neonates die in neonatal intensive care in Cameroon, probably because, they were triplets, their mother passed away, or they were born too early, and then, milk, bottle milk is so expensive. But again, you cannot be struggling to eat and then you're spending money that you don't have. It doesn't work like that. So this girl right here, is thinking for Cameroon in 10 years, 20 years to come. First of all, have breastfeeding support centers, The second thing is in hospitals, have breast milk banks. It's a thing. It's a thing that is possible. If we support breastfeeding, the costs that we have associated with infant mortality, malnutrition will reduce by more than half. So we save money.
I'm sitting here going like, wow, it sounds so far-fetched up there, because some of us, that's what you just do. You see, that's the whole thing about breaking that cycle of it has always been done this way. They used to tell you, come, mama, if the milk is not flowing, here, drink this jobajo.
Drink palm wine, drink beer, all those things.
And it will come now, it will flow you and the baby. That was the thing. You see, we always sat there and figured out that the problem will be solved somehow, the way it has always been done, as opposed to looking at these innovative things. That's the thing about us. We are set in our ways. It has always been done like this. My great-grandmother did this. Her mother did that. My own mother before me did this. I will do the same thing. So will my child. And then it's not working because, as you're saying, the figures are showing there's the mortality is happening.
Yeah.
So you cannot keep doing the same thing, like that proverb says, doing the same thing and expecting different results. So I'm amazed at what I'm hearing. A lactation center kind of a thing.
Lactation centers, not only in Cameroon, but across Africa, because it's an African problem. And it's an African problem. But, we will benefit if we did that, because imagine that a child has lost his mom, but that child needs breast milk at least for 6 months. If you have a breast milk bank, it's not a problem. I'm the doctor, I do a prescription. This child needs maybe this quantity for this period of time. Another mother has maybe a lot that she has given her infant, and she can give it out. So it's fostering a sense of community, responsibility, accountability. But at the end of it, just saying that we want the well-being of our children. We want them healthy. We want to give them the best starts in life, and it starts with nutrition. What we feed them, because what we feed them, we feed their brains, and it follows with their overall development. So it's a win. Like on all the way, it's a win. So that's it.
You're trying to really process it as I hear it. The way you have a blood bank.
Yes, the way you have a blood bank, but now it's a breast milk bank. So all the testing, they do the testing for the mom who is giving, you assessed her own child before, because you cannot give milk when your own child is lacking, right? But also the child who is receiving, for example, does he have any allergies? Is there, so it's another way of employment. So it's something different, but it cuts across a lot of things. Social care, it cuts across, laboratory or lab science, because you have to test this milk. It cuts across preservation, using probably green energy. And so it's all of that. It's all of that this girl, this rural girl who works in a rural community is thinking for Africa, because I think that 20 years down the line, it should be something that we don't think about for our children. No, we don't. The child has a problem. You have milk, he needs milk, or his own mother is not, the child has milk, or the mother cannot produce enough, he has milk, or a baby is born 22 weeks, 23 weeks, 28 weeks, there's food for this child to have. Yes.
And I'm even thinking, it just crossed my mind right now as you're speaking, I'm even thinking about the mother who unfortunately has lost her baby. Well, her body was already prepared to make milk. So it may even help them to feel like, okay, I have donated, I have given what I couldn't give for my own baby, but the fact that your body hasn't understood that your baby is not there and is ready physiologically to produce milk, and you may want to now do that to feel like you're helping. Wow, I'm trying to wrap my brain around it even as I'm
So let me look at another scenario. Imagine this woman who has always wanted a child, but she's just been told that she has maybe breast cancer. So she has had her baby, but she cannot breastfeed this child because she's going to chemotherapy. But then she has an opportunity to still give this child the best.
Correct, because we've been too, nobody needs to be taught about the benefits of breast milk.
No, some people still need to be taught. Some people still need to be taught because unfortunately, there's a growing tendency around Africa where we are glamorizing formula feeds. There are many countries have signed, you know, how they are not supposed to promote breast milk substitute in hospitals based on paper. You know, many people don't even care. Many people actually have to be taught all over, taught in a light that is not, it's realistic, in a light that is saying, hey, this is the way you have been blindsided. This is what you are not seeing, you know, and this is the impact of this thing far beyond what you think that you know.
Seeing now.
So we still need, there is still need for, you know, communication, but a communication that it's in the light of everything that is happening. We are talking about childhood obesity more than ever before. We are talking about children having diabetes and all those diseases. If you check, everything is linked to nutrition. So we have to do ourselves good. Nobody is going to come and save us if we don't save ourselves. Nobody is going to fight for us if we don't fight for ourselves. So, and we cannot sacrifice our children. We cannot sacrifice generations that are not even here. It will be unfair because at the end of the day, after you've done everything, who are you handing that legacy to?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, wow. You see, forgive my assumptions. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, but I've heard that before. But what I used to hear was, hey, my fine skin, I don't want to breastfeed, the breast will fall. So I did them perky and blah, blah. What haven't I heard about things? I'm like, are you for real? You brought this child into the world and you know that this is best for the child, but your shape and your whatever it is more important than you actually breastfeeding the kid. So I thought that we've gone past that and everybody understands now in our whole organic and healthy world how we're supposed to do. Okay, my bad. Like I guess this has taken me to some place else than what I was expecting to sit down here and listen to. So I guess this is the Africa. We have our issues, we have our problems, and it's everywhere. But then we know how our own things can kind of be doubled. The issues they tend to be just twice as impactful when they're negative.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I guess
twice as devastating because imagine a mom who just says, oh, I want to use formula milk. You have not thought of the water. Where will the water come from? How many bottles do you have? Right. Who will do the bottles? How will you warm it? And then you now after having this child who was fine, brought to you because he's regularly having diarrhea, he's not putting on weight, he's regret.
Right. And then even if you fix that, you redress the issue and fix it, sometimes the harm has already been done at that vulnerable age where the child needs all the nutrition. And then that's who we teachers will have tomorrow in the classroom, and we're trying to conquer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Doll picking, but that wasn't quite the kid's fault. The repercussions are, oh Lordy. So we've heard, I'm not the only one listening here going, wow, I'm sure the other people they're going, oh my goodness. Look at where this can go and what can we do, because I'm all about identifying the issues and the problems, but figuring out solutions. So when this show hits the air on the radio, when it hits YouTube and you watch it, don't just do the, oh, put your hands on your head, mama me thing, and then stop there. You need to see what it is that you can do, even if it means you now telling the ladies, the women, the younger girls in your entourage already, that's a good start, about the benefits of breastfeeding that you've heard the doctor talk about right here. Even that is already some impact. besides now going ahead, going the next step to support financially, morally, with your own whatever wherewithal to go and actually do this program, benefit from the program. So people, the underprivileged and those innocent babies, because they didn't ask to be born, they happen to be here already though. And I had the former First Lady of Zambia on the last show, and she was talking about the necessity to tailor our own solutions to match what
to fit us, to fit our problems. Yes,
correct.
I agree with her.
This is it right here. This is it right here. Don't just say this is how it's done over there. This is how it's done over here. What is happening in your own community? And she also made a very important statement that has stayed with me. She says, okay, yes, a child is born of two parents. There's a man and a woman involved in the whole thing. But once that child is born, the child belongs to the community. It's the community's job to help raise that child. So it's not a matter of me sitting here and saying, hey, I'm not, how that one concern me? You know, it's not my grandchild, it's not my anything. So no, it is, if the children fail, if there's high infant mortality rates, it's all our problem. It all looks worse. Now you have that, okay, the child doesn't grow healthy. And so the child now takes options and now becomes a highway robber or bandit. Guess what? He's coming to steal from your house then. You will say it did not matter what the problem is, it's somebody else's issue there. But now that there's all this and banditry and stuff happening, it can come find a funny way to come back and bite you in that way, because that's who the society, that's part of the society too, as opposed to making sure our children, our future, are well taken care of. Wow, we can go on like this forever and ever, but I'd say, we want to give you the last word. What do you want to say? What are your closing remarks before we say, go on out there and continue to do what you're doing? So what would you like to share as your closing remark?
You mentioned the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon featuring me on the International Day of the Girl Child. It was, I mean, when I realized that that's what had happened, I was humbled. I was like, God, if my parents, I'm not sure that my parents were hoping for this much. Probably in their minds, they were like, okay, we didn't have this, but we will give her the best. And we just hope that she's going to survive, you know. But they didn't think that it could be a way, that there could be a possibility for me to thrive. And on my journey here, I saw that, you know, it has radically just shifted the way they approach things and the way they think. My take-home message is pretty much that, you know, sometimes our children, our nieces, our nephews fail because we fail them as people. We say that we support them, but in a sense, we don't. Like I said, my community for me has been my greatest everything. That means that the opportunities that I have had, who I have spoken to, is because someone somewhere said, hey, you have, this is what you can, this is how I can help you. So my take-home message is just look around you. Who is that little boy that you could help? You know, by just watching him doing something and say, hey, young man, don't do that. Or that little girl, or that grandma, or that pregnant woman. Who is it in your community that could just need your advice? Remember, the hope doesn't need to be come in buckets or in tanks. Just a little word could change somebody's life around and be the hope that you wish that someone else was for you in a vulnerable moment.
Awesome. Awesome. Go out there, because I am a teacher. Well, I always say what you say, what those kids hear in their ear there. Somebody who says, and you see the transformation. When you tell them, oh no, you can do it. They come there all defeated and defeatist saying, no, it's not for me. I can't. And you show them that they can. When you ignite that hope in them, you see now that you see that a spark has been ignited there. Their eyes are much brighter. They come and you finally see that kid raise his hand, attempting to answer a question. I'm like, wow, he can give the wrongest answer. I'm like, okay, dear, you are just 3/4 right, but let's fix this thing somehow. But you see them, they are now buying into it. It is for any teacher would tell you the joy of your life. The other ones who came in there bright and have been answering questions every day, I love them too. I care about them and I'm happy and proud of them. But for me, it is that one who has been sitting there, sleeping, not doing anything, apathetic, just believing that they cannot do anything. When they finally start to come to, you see them even sit square their shoulders a little bit better. They seem a little taller to you. They come in now with a smile, and you have changed it. You have changed things for that child. So I cannot agree with you more. That is a wonderful thing to do. And then the people that you know that the good doctor knows here are not the ones I know, are not the ones that you listening to us here on the radio or watching on YouTube. No, we cannot get to those people. We don't know them, but you know them. They live in your entourage. They live in your neighborhood, in your apartment building, in your office. Maybe their mom doesn't get to tell them she's too busy or she's not in their lives. Children go through trauma. You may be that one adult, that one person who says, wow, what a smart kid. Do you know you could do so and so thing? The way I see you do this puff thing, the way I see you do, whatever it is, and make them believe in themselves. And then you produce doctors like we have right here. You produce wonderful people who will one day sit on somebody else's platform. And she said she could not help but mention names, and she started calling them and saying, this person encouraged me. This person said, go for it. This person said, do this and do that. So whatever way we can, I'm just anchoring the message she's given. Go out there and help somebody, encourage somebody, whatever way you can, no matter how it is, how small you might think it is. And so we would want to encourage her. So I have said, and watch out when she has this link ready, the GoFundMe link or this whatever crowdfunding platform she chooses to use, I will be sharing it. And please, if you cannot donate your own self, you can tell somebody else and they will help. And when it's established in Cameroon, as you said, people may want to give their expertise, give their financial help, give their moral support, whatever it is. We will do our best to do our own part as the community to support you. So thank you very, very much for taking time out of your schedule in this busy California where you are, and you have all this traveling still to travel around the states to do. I think you mentioned Texas too.
Yeah.
In Texas as well, then the DC area and stuff like that. And then heading back home later on. So we just wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
Those hopes and dreams, I hope every single one of them is fulfilled way above and beyond even your own expectations. All right, so thank you very much for being here with us. And this has been another edition of the Musings and Music Show, one that we have learned a lot from. I'm still going to sit back after this and process it my own self and go, wow, 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 and see what we can do to help. So thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.